Hey John, we got David on today.
Oh yeah, that's a. Do you have your pants on your shoulder?
Oh, I'll get to that later. Doesn't matter.
All right. Well, now that the pants situation's taken care of, David, hey, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to have this conversation.
I'm interested to hear because of your role, not just your company but in the industry. What do you think? Like legislation was just canceled. I know from a manufacturer standpoint, but what you and your team may look to get out of trade shows. Would that change? Do you think that would be a different?
I think trade shows as a entity are going to have some reinvention. And that's going to mean not only in layout but also relative to what we have to do just to attend, right? And whether in the short term that's simple things like temperature readings as on your way in, or
Onto the floor.
exact, and it may be. And honestly, we may be living in a bit of a. We may have had it easy already. Some of the Chinese shows and that there are people already walking around in masks, and there's a lot of precautions that were already in place before all of this. We are going to see is a greater attention paid to spacing and open space, and manufacturers taking an approach of uh, just how they create safe environments for customers. I think the end game here is that the information one can glean out of a trade show, specifically in the lighting industry, is really valuable and virtually impossible to get via webinars. And so finding those ways to do it and do it safely could be really exciting. And we're a technology driven industry, and finding ways where that technology can become a part of it. And we see a trend already in lighting toward a greater consciousness of human health in our lighting designs. And I expect that this is going to really impact that, especially as we shift back from fully work at home into a world of partly work from home.
One of the things I love about the lighting industry is that it is so small and everyone knows each other. And I think that's one of the things that I think a lot of that happens at these trade shows where you network and you meet people. And it might be a little tougher to do that where it's, with masks on and you're maybe bumping elbows instead of shaking hands, and it's a little more sterile. But on the flip side, we've talked on these coffee talks with a couple people, and with the virus, it's actually changing the way people interact. Where Lee with HLB had said that all the calls now with her office is not just talking about the weather, but everyone's genuinely asking how people's families are.
Maybe. I mean, we've been doing a lot of things in our team. We're 10 folks, and we're trying to do a lot of things that are not about our projects, right? So that we have conversations that are broader, that may have just occurred while getting coffee at the coffee maker in the office, and now don't happen that way. So we're trying to build more and more of that in, and doing things that we normally wouldn't have done. We have obviously everybody's kind of moved on to video platforms like this for a lot of check-ins and conversations. We've been doing every Friday an office happy hour, so we're up
That's
to
great.
our sixth or seventh now. But it's not just a happy hour because we're like, oh, we can all have a drink together. But that's going to get kind of boring after the second or third one. So we've assigned each week a different team member has to give us a tour of something. So we've gone on a hike together from people's photos and Google Maps and stuff. We've done.
That's so cool.
We did a tour of Iceland and really got in depth on certain things. We did a couple of museum tours. It's like, but it's something that's important to somebody on the team.
Every time we get on these Zoom calls, we get a little snapshot of somebody's world, because I see these cool art behind you in your space.
These are just various. Well, Mount Pleasant over here is the neighborhood I live in, and the rest are various travels or maps. So the one that's right above me is actually a winery in California where we got married, and
Oh, wow.
received a gift of this beautiful painting.
The colored DC silhouette and the Mount Pleasant Both of those resonate for me because I grew up in DC. So I
Yeah.
actually lived in Mount Pleasant, probably not
Oh.
far from where you are now.
Yeah, it's a pretty small neighborhood, so it's.
Yeah. How do you think that we're going to respond in the design world to changes in how we're going to have to interact in office spaces and outdoor spaces? Those are going to have design impacts that are going to affect how you light spaces.
I think our office design and our environment is going to change. From simple things of there's going to be some sort of swing back from open office planning. How that really works, I'm not entirely sure because the economics of open office is pretty efficient. So, but I think we're going to see things where there's a little bit more privacy and a little bit more protection in that model. Like I said earlier, I think we're going to see things where people are not. We have more flexibility in our work from home policy. For us, we had one before this, but it was at a certain level of career and above. And what we found is actually some of the junior team that we normally would not have offered it to are really shining with it and doing really well with it. So how do we find that? How do we find a balance in that?
I feel like there's going to be more demand on outdoor spaces, certainly as we're in the middle of this heading into summer. But do you think there's going to be any kind of design impact to outdoor spaces? Maybe more lighting because we want to spend more time outside, or changes in dynamics in those outdoor spaces?
I could see dynamics. I don't know that more lighting is there. I think a lot of our outdoor spaces are kind of over lighted in a lot of ways anyway. And again, silver linings that what was it yesterday? It was just announced that the largest drop in CO2 emissions ever recorded was over the past quarter. So
Yep.
I don't know that we'll keep that up, but as you see these reports of being able to see vistas, like where was it in India, they could see the Himalayas for the first time in over a decade. And some of these reports, hopefully some of that begins to stick, which may mean that yes, I think there will be more use and taxing on our outdoor environments. Maybe that's as simple as more connectivity and better technology built into our pole lights that give us Wi-Fi and give us access to things so people can go and work from an outdoor space. There's probably a greater sense of urban planning and where those environments are and how we find what does seating look like in the public space. How are we prepared to clean that environment as well? All of which, I think this is going to define the next decade of design, just as 2001 really defined about a decade of security design and how we built that into our public buildings. In 2008, we started to see a change from just sort of one-upsmanship to really building in experiences into our designs. And now I think we're going to find out a little bit more of a humane and human connection, as well as this sense of what is our health and safety in the design.